What's up, What the Vet fam? Today's episode, if I could talk, because it's a brand new day. Words are important. They just don't always come out in a sentence. So what's happening today is we're going to talk about client interactions, the good, the bad, the ugly. We've all been in situations where clients have been both very unkind and borderline aggressive to the complete opposite, who I've had an experience where the lady, I said I liked her shirt and she was literally stripping in the exam room to give it to me. So, loved that woman. She was so nice and literally tried to give me her shirt and walk around with just a bra. So we stopped that. I did not take the shirt.
I bet you stopped commenting on people's shirts, didn't you?
I sure did.
A little bit of
I
trauma.
sure did. I literally was like, no, put your shirt back on, which was a sentence I never thought I would have to say in an exam room in veterinary medicine. But here we are today.
You were down.
So, and I've also seen the bad of clients where I have felt threatened that they were going to come at me for X, Y, and Z. Granted, that was during COVID. There were very bad things happening during COVID. We had to take their dying animals away from them and they couldn't come in. And it was Florida and there were guns. So, it was not a fun time, had by none during those years. But, we can even go in far as like client etiquette in a sense of why we do the things that we do that clients don't understand. If we get some of those people that watch our podcast, because I had a friend recently that she was at the vet with one of her dogs, and she literally, as she's sitting in the exam room alone, she was literally messaging me and she was like, "Why are you guys taking the dogs away to do stuff when the assessment's being done while I'm there?" She's like, "Is something shady going on?" No, your dog is 10 times better away from you if we're going to be poking and prodding. And once I explained it, she was fine. And she understood ish. But, I've seen comments, I'm going to say the fancier day clinics and emergency clinics that have cameras now in the exam room. People are now getting paranoid about that. No, that's for our safety because of the things that you say to the technicians, the assistants, and even the doctors in the exam room. We now have proof.
Yeah.
I've heard stories of clients getting physical with the technicians. I've never actually experienced it aside from, angry clients outside during COVID. But like they never like came at me because thankfully I'm tall and big and it's going to take a lot. But
What does this profession come to? I couldn't get the words out. I got a lot to say about this, but I was just like,
it's a little like, we would go through and have such amazing clientele, and
yeah,
then certain names would pop up, and you're just like, I don't know if I can deal with her today because
yeah. You
she's
don't have,
just not nice.
right. You don't have the mental bandwidth to get through that. You know what I mean? Like I cannot deal with you today.
Mm-hmm.
Like what happened to basic human decency and like positive interactions?
And, we touched on it on the last episode where we all have Karen moments, and very stressful scenarios,
Hmm.
especially when something that you love and something's happening and that pops out. We don't hold that against you. It's the before and after. So
Yes.
if you come in as a Karen, stay as a Karen, and leave as a Karen, you're always a Karen. But if you come in, hi, how are you? Thank you so much, blah, 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 blah. Karen, I am so sorry for all of that. Can we continue onwards? Not a Karen. We understand the stressful side of things, and we're like, oh yeah, nope, you're good. Like, I've had to have awful conversations with clients that when their pet is being diagnosed with cancer and all of a sudden their dog that, in their mind is never going to die. Tell Allie Dog all the time she's not allowed to die. That they're now looking to weeks to months and they could still have the decency to cry and be upset but have dignity. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like dignity for the person that's talking to you, dignity for the situation. I don't know if
Mhm.
dignity is the correct word, but it feels like it is at the moment. And it's just across the board, we just get put down a lot by the clients.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's far more negative interactions I feel in the past 3 to 5 years than there are positive. No
Yeah.
one wants to take their dog to the vet and spend money.
No.
But no. It's expensive. Even if you're going in for just one thing turns into another thing, and another thing turns into another thing, and you went from a bill of $75 to $300. We get it.
Yeah.
It's
It's
just,
and we get battered in the rooms about, oh my God, you're only here for the money. First of all, this is not a Chevy dealership. I do not make commission off of what you get for your pet. So whether you take that or you don't makes no financial difference to me. I am just affording you options to take care of your baby to the best of your abilities. Back up. That's what I've said that to a client before. I've said that to a
yeah, we
client.
don't. We make zero commission, just FYI. There are certain practices out there where the veterinarian makes commission on estimates that you
Exactly.
sign. Do I have thoughts and opinions on that one? Because I have seen them pad the bill.
Yep.
Because it's a higher bill, and that is then presented to you. I once went into an exam room with a single father with his kids there. His dog needed surgery with 5 different estimates ranging from $1,200 to $10,000.
Jeez.
And I was like, I can show you every single one. Tell me what your budget is. I need to know so I can accurately fix all of this, because my job is requiring me to give you all of these estimates. I can make a lot of these go away and work within your means.
Yeah.
And once, because again, they see the high number. Let's talk about what you can actually do. I have to present their estimate, their gold standard, and then you have to tell me what is feasible for your financial situation.
Like that you said that how you have to present that estimate, how you have to go in there.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a certain decorum and a certain attitude and a certain understanding when you walk in that room and you're going to talk an estimate with a client. You don't just slide them a piece of paper, show them the bottom number, and tell them what it is. You have to walk them through, okay, these are your options, these are your stair steps, this is, what we can do. Don't look at that bottom number. I'm just telling you in
Yeah.
totality. There's a lot of technicians that I've seen, or liaisons, financial consult, whatever you have in your practice, that just sail in there with a piece of paper or a estimate on a computer. Well, this is what it is, and don't explain the value behind why that estimate is the way that it is.
I was going to say, if I'm not explained an estimate that's $3,500 and I don't understand what I'm paying for, I'm not signing it.
No.
You know what I mean? That's how I would present it. And I'm like, okay, you said you cannot afford this $3,500 estimate. What is within your means? 800.
Yep.
Okay, I have a number now that I can go back and talk to the vet and remake this within your means. Is
Yeah.
it going to necessarily fix your dog? Maybe not. And you have to have that conversation too. Like, we can do the best of our ability within your means. It still might not work. You still may have to turn around and find the rest of the money, and that's fine. You can figure that out. We just gave you a little bit of extra time, hopefully.
We gave you a starting point to
Mm-hmm.
attempt to address the situation, but you have to understand that you may not get the outcome that you're expecting.
Yeah, I had flown up from Florida to North Carolina, and it was pre Thanksgiving or something like that. Oh, I hadn't been up here in a while. I'll just come up for the weekend. And my brother had this shepherd named Buffy, and that was like my stepdog. Loved that dog. She waited until I was on the plane flying to start having projectile diarrhea, muddy gums, labored breathing. She was 15 years old. Only so many things that's going to be, right? So I came home, and brother had texted me and he was like, yeah, Buffy's having diarrhea, it's really weird. It's not like her, she never really has GI upset. And I'm like, okay, I'll look at her when I come in. Pulled in, he pulled her out, and she just gave me that look, and I went, we're gonna change our plan for the day, because he had to go and do a soccer game. And I was like, I need a vehicle to take your dog to the vet now. And he just looked at me, and I was like, no, this is not good. Not good. I need to go. So I took over that. So then I went there and I explained to them, I was like, yes, I am a technician from Florida, work internal medicine. Things are quacking like a duck with this dog. And so, but you know what I did? I declined so many things as a technician. Do not run a pancreatitis test on my dog.
Not yet.
I'm not spending $50 on a pancreatitis test. I want normal blood work and x-rays. That's it. And then I'm getting my internist on the phone to look at those x-rays. And she had a very large liver tumor that was bleeding, and they had to make that decision. But as a technician, decline, decline, decline. We're not doing that. There were several things I declined to right off the bat. I was like, absolutely not. We're not doing that. And they were like, but you're a tech. I was like, yeah, that's why I'm declining it. She's a
Yeah.
15-year-old German Shepherd dog that was bebopping around yesterday. It's not pancreatitis, Toots. She
No.
didn't.
And if
She
it
did
is,
not eat anything out of the ordinary.
right. And if
And
it is pancreatitis, your amylase, your lipase may or may not be elevated. So we'll go from there, and then you can run a SNAP if we feel
exactly.
like that's necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They ended up euthanizing the dog, and I was there for all of that. But yeah, I was like, even as someone that was in the field, in the trenches, I declined things left and right. I was like, no,
Yeah.
you're not getting, like, it was like $150 extra. I was like, absolutely not. This is right now. I am funding this. Brother paid me back, but I was like, this is going on my credit card, so
But
no.
in two, like when we understand those going through estimates, right? As technicians looking at an estimate as a client, right? But then you have the client who goes through things like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. Why are you doing this and why are you doing that? Without the understanding, like you understood that when you said that the gold standard. That's the standard the doctor puts forth. That this is what I would like to do, but you have the option to not do these things. You have the option to decline, but I have to
Yep.
offer you everything available to you. And it's
Yep.
your decision whether you want to move in that direction or not. And a lot of clients don't understand that.
And you know what? I did it all very respectfully. I was
Yeah,
like, no, I'm not going to do that. Didn't throw a fit. It's my choice to give you my money.
exactly.
And I
It's,
chose, and I see,
yeah. And you
you
have
know?
the experience to be able to go through and decline those things, right off the bat and be like, dude, you really don't. Yes, I understand the gold standard. It'll give you this data, this data, this data,
Yeah.
but now this is the data that I think that we need. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like a client doesn't have that working knowledge to be able to do that. And then
Nope.
they just go through and be like, oh, this isn't necessary. That's not necessary. I have a chain link fence. I don't need heartworm prevention. That's not necessary because you don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't take
They live in it. And for
yeah,
the people that are watching this that aren't in veterinary medicine, that are on the client side, if you live in a gated community, your dog can still get bit by a heartworm. I
exactly.
can't I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. That's not possible. I live in a gated community. Does your dog go outside, sir? Well, yes. Okay. Then your dog can get bit by a mosquito in your very nice neighborhood. I'm not taking away the value of your house
Or your gated community.
or your gated community, but your dog can still have heartworms.
Yeah.
Please and thank you.
Yeah.
So just I wanted to put that in there because that has come up so many times every year that I was in the clinic.
And the chain link fence. Well, I have a chain link fence. Do you? Me too. However, I still get mosquitoes in my yard.
It's just, I want to say common sense isn't so common, but it's not even that. It's just that trying to think of the correct wording. It starts with an N. It'll come to me. Naiveness.
There you go.
They just don't know. That hurt my head.
It's a
Need more
lack of.
water.
There you go.
Yes, you don't know, and that's fine. That means we failed on the education. That's how I look at it. And so once I explained X, Y, and Z,
Mm-hmm.
again, we are the ones that are explaining it as technicians more than the doctor. So in that regards, we may be doing 50 things, but then we have Joe Schmo sitting there with his first dog ever in his whole entire life. And he's like, I live in $1 million mansion. Mosquito ain't got nothing on me. I'm sorry, Joe. It does.
Yeah.
It got into your house and it bit your dog. That's just how the cookie crumbles. So it's just maybe doing a lot of things, but we can educate a little bit better. Is there an earthquake happening right now?
For me,
Good, 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 good.
my hands get shaky, like my shoulders. Like if I lean on them too long, sorry. I'm old.
You're good. I'm, I'm old and tired. But yeah, so turning into a little bit of a cathartic thing that things have been building up in my soul about these little client interactions.
It's hard because these interactions, I mean, our jobs are hard enough as it is, and these interactions at times make it a lot harder. Like I've had to have, excuse my staff to walk outside just so they can take a breather for a minute. Or, you know what I mean? Like just it's okay. It's okay. You know what I mean? Like have to talk to them through it. It's like being a psychologist on a daily basis when these people come in and read them the riot act.
Yeah. And it's like in tech school, mind you, I was the guinea pig group in the school that I went to. Like we were the first ones through because it was a brand new program. I don't recommend that. I learned I felt like I learned not as much as I could if I had gone several cycles through. Excuse me. but like client education wasn't really talked about when in turn we're doing so much of it.
I'm listening,
Well,
George.
and like, well, and also, I was really good at taking the doctor's medical terms and turning it into layman's terms. So then I'm like, okay, the vet mentioned X, Y, and Z. What that really means is we're going to do X, Y, and Z. And then they were able to like understand it a little bit more and then be more on board with the diagnostics that then needed to be done. Because they're like, oh yeah, we need to check for pulmonary edema and blah 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 blah. I'm like, really? We need to look at the lungs, see how bad they look.
Yeah.
Yes, we want to do a scope to look inside your nose so we can get biopsies way back there to see if there's any inflammation or tumor. Not just, yeah, we need to do a rhinoscopy to see what's going on. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what's a rhinoscopy? This is what we're going to do. I drew a lot of ugly pictures,
Yeah.
but they then understood, but you had to take your estimated time to do an estimate is what, 5-10 minutes? All of a sudden you're in there for 30 minutes because you need to explain what you're doing if you want them to pay for services, as
Exactly.
they should know what they're signing for. But there'll be times where like, well, I don't know, this is what the doctor wanted to do.
Yeah.
No.
No, you don't do that. You go into the room with the knowledge and the wherewithal of what's happening to be able to explain that to that client, because yes, they're paying for it, but at the same time, they are putting their pet, quote unquote, at risk with any anesthetic procedure. They're putting them, they need to know what they're signing for and what's happening and be comfortable giving us the permission to proceed with these things with their pet's life in our hands.
And we also deal with one of my favorite, and it wasn't even an interaction, and it's something that I bring up to a lot of people that they have to deal with is the client on drugs. I worked emergency for a long time before I went to internal medicine. We, like, in the middle of the night, homeless men would know that we would be open and that there were snacks. So like they would come in and they'd be like, I saw the light on, so I figured I would try it. Why? And I'd be like, do you want a drink and you want a snack? And they'd be like, oh my God, yes. I was like, okay, take it. And then you're gonna have to go because you don't have a pet here. And they were fine. But I remember this guy came in, his cat had a saddle thrombus. So if people that don't know, cat's spinal cord right here, clot, generally more towards the hind end of the animal. They become paralyzed in the hind end. Very, 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 very painful. Also very, very hard to treat and get them back to a semi-normal life, but also the amount of money to go into it is 8 to 10 grand, and that's a big if. And I've only seen one client that actually did it and was successful. And I say semi-successful. The cat was also evil, and evil never dies, so that's probably what helped.
It's probably where the success came in.
But so like the doctor was explaining what a saddle thrombus was, and she was like, think of him like a cowboy. Yeah, 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 my cat's a cowboy. Yeah, 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 he's a cowboy. He gonna go out like a cowboy.
I'd have walked out.
But here's the thing. Our exam rooms were all full of, we only had 2 or 3 exam rooms at the time, all full of patients. So we're talking to him outside in the lobby. The lobby's not big, also full of people. And he was also watching the football game, would get distracted by the football game and say, go Saints, go homosexuals, love Jesus.
Maybe he had.
And we laugh now, but at the time, no one was laughing. People were very uncomfortable. And he ended up paying for the exam and pain meds, taking his pet home, telling him he was going to shoot the cat up and then bang bang him because he said his cat was a cowboy and he was going to go out like a cowboy. We called the cops and animal control. What happened after that, we don't know. And that was all we could do. But we had to interact with that guy for an hour and a half of him pacing back and forth, watching the Saints play, mad when the Saints lost, and his cat was going to go out like a cowboy.
Yeah, that's the one.
So, we also have to deal with, or there would be times where we would find syringes in the bathroom from paid clients that would go in and shoot up, and all sorts of fun things.
Yep.
Why we're doing life-saving measures on their dogs. That's more of the bad and the ugly portion of the program of client interactions.
Yeah, a gun pulled on me at work before over a litter of kittens that were very sick. This guy was very disturbed. His wife was going through cancer treatments. He was a very disturbed veteran. So, like, I mean, there's been some we got some funny ones too, but those are some pretty horrid interactions. Speaking of clients and drug use and they're bringing their pets in, I was working an ER shift, and this little Frenchie came in on emergency.
Oh.
You know which one I'm going to? Which one I'm about to talk about? Yeah, this little Frenchie came in on emergency. Okay, we weren't sure if he was obtunded or if he was high as a kite and tweaking out. And anyway, so I pulled the owner to the back. She looked like who did it and ran, my guy. Like crazy. And granted, too, sometimes when your pets go down, you don't expect to go into the ER, so you're not like, dressed to the
Exactly.
nose, ready to dress to kill, unless you're a stripper working at 3 o'clock in the morning, you come home and find your dog sick. That's another story for another day.
Ah.
This girl comes in. Frenchie is like just all over the place, right? Just peeing all over himself, and he's kind of uptight. So you're kind of going into your wheels start turning. And I look at this lady, I'm like, what did this dog get into? I'm not
Yeah.
here to get you in trouble. I need to know what he got into. She goes, I think he just got into some weed. Okay, we can work with that.
Work with that.
His heart was tacking out, bro. And I'm like, I don't know. So I'm getting this girl's info. I said, I need to get your information. Come with me. She goes, well, I work here. I said, what? I said, you work here? She's like, yeah, I just got hired as a client care representative here. Bitch, I'm the practice manager.
I didn't hire you.
I didn't hire you. I think our business management person did, right? So I'm like, all right, you know what? It doesn't matter whether you work here or not. We got to get your animal taken care of. We'll talk about finances here in a little bit, employee discounts, whatever it is. I said, is this, and this is in my head, is this the only thing that this dog got into? Girl starts tweaking the F out. He may have got into a little bit of coke too. Bam, fire.
There it is.
You are no longer employed here. You no longer get the employee discount. I can't. Oh my God.
Like, we don't care if your dog got into weed. We just
No.
need to know. We're not telling the popo.
No. If they got into anything else too, like just be honest and forthcoming so we can save your pet. Like, come on.
Like, we have to do X, Y, and Z depending on what drug it was.
Right. Like we have to
Like, if it got
appropriate measures, and then you blame us for the animal dying because you didn't tell us about the shit that he got into.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had an iguana presented to the ER for eating like a shit ton of weed. Homeboy was the guy came, he's like, I don't want to tell you what happened. I don't want to tell you what happened. And I'm like, bro, I need to know we got to know what happened. He's like, I said, yeah. He goes, he ate a fuck ton of weed. Is he going to live? Am I going to go to jail? Bro, we just need to,
we need to start like calling poison control for an iguana. Iguana's a hard one. Why did the iguana
like
want to eat the weed?
Right, your fucking iguana looks like Willie Nelson. Like, I'm putting two and two together, but I need you to tell me. I need you to help me help you. You know what I mean? The funny things. The stripping in the exam room.
See, here's the thing. You brought up like strippers, right? If I knew the person I was dealing with at 2 o'clock in the morning was a stripper and their estimate, let's just say, was $1,500, their dog had HGE, bloody diarrhea, vomiting, needed supportive care, and otherwise was going to be okay, right? If they said, by the time I come in at 8 a.m., I will have the money, never questioned it. I was like, you know what? Leave me what you can, and I will see you at 8 a.m. to pick up your dog. And
With
they
the-
had it. It was in ones.
with
It
the
was a
hand
huge stack.
spritzer.
They paid every time.
Yeah, all the time.
Every time they said, I don't have the money now, give me 6 hours. I
Yep.
believe you. Go shake that ass. Get
Yep.
it.
They would show up with their rechecks and everything. Yep. No, dude, no judgment. You know what I mean? You gotta do what you gotta do.
No, y'all are the only ones that I trusted that would actually pay their bill at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I'm like, you're out working it. That's fine. I'm just gonna wear gloves when I count your money.
With the freaking hand, like I said, the spray hand sanitizer, my little Bath and Body Works. That shit's gonna smell like sunshines and rain when I get done with it, but it's gonna be clean.
It's gonna be clean. But yeah, no, I had a full circle moment one time. So it was like my first or second year out of school in emergency medicine, working with one of my favorite people, and someone just disposed of a huge ass safe in the back of the alley. It wasn't that, it was summertime, not very busy.
Yeah.
Him and I spent all night hacking into that safe because I'm like, this is our get rich. Like, we're gonna, because you could tell like they tried to get into it and they couldn't, so we continued to try and get into it. We did, and it was just like titles and stuff like that, but we've got the address. So We eventually were good people and said, "Hey, Popo, the safe got dropped off. Here's what's in it. We're not going to tell you how we got into it, but we did." And the officer had come in to grab the titles, and this was like 2 days later, and we were treating their canine officer that had gotten hurt on the job. So at that point, I was like, I knew a lot of the commands depending on the breed and nationality. So I'm like, okay, you're getting ready to leave. I need to know your commands for your dog so he doesn't bite the shit out of us. You know, if he's German, 9. What's the attack word so I don't use it? And so, like, and he had told me, and he was like, oh, yeah, this dog took down a perp in the Walmart parking lot and had some abrasions, just need to be cleaned up, but the officer was going to go and come back later. The next day, the other officer came in and was like, you know, the dog that you treated? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, that dog bit the guy that stole the safe. He took down the dog. It was a full circle. Small World was playing on in the background. And because it was a Malinois. It was actually a pretty decent Malinois for being a canine dog. But he took down the perp that stole the safe.
Yeah.
The guy had made other robberies in the neighborhood and things like that. But we treated the dog that took him down to the safe that we technically broke into.
I mean, that's see, I think like majority of Vet Med should be a Netflix series.
Like it was hysterical. Like we were dying that the dog took the perp down that dropped off the safe because he couldn't hack into the safe. He wasn't conniving enough apparently like we were. But yeah, that was like a funny one because I was like, it's a small world after all. Just everything was connected on that one.
Damn.
But yeah.
Adventures and
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I got things playing in my head from just experiences and what you just said about that whole full circle situation. And like, can we talk about the clients that feel it necessary to tell us their entire life story? The only reason I bring that up is because of that one experience that we've had multiple, but that one experience that I had. Clients come in, we are your veterinary technicians. We are taking on the role of your unlicensed therapists. We have conversations with you about your life, your kids, and we enjoy that. Most of us do. I can speak for myself, right? I mean, like I thoroughly enjoy having those kinds of client interactions. If I can help you and your pet at the same time, fantastic. You know what I mean? Full circle. But there are things that you need to keep to your damn self that we don't need, nor do we want to know about, or do we want to witness. So I had back surgery a while back, right? I was up. So I'm a workaholic. So the only way that they would let me come back to work is if I agreed to do reception. Bane of my existence. Okay. Because I'm not that, I can turn on the, was it that professionalism and then go to the Chucky doll real quick.
Voice.
Hello, thank you for calling such and such animal hospital. This mother. Anyway, so I'm sitting up front. I'm barely able to move, right, in the office chair. And this lady comes in. We've seen this lady for a very long time. We know who she was. She was a, pet-related business owner in the community, this, that, and the other. Well, she had been having trouble with parasites with her dog. Well, we filled prescription Adrontal, and she came in to pick it up. She proceeds to tell me, thinking that we're besties. She leans across the counter. She goes, these aren't for my dog. I said, okay, I really wish you hadn't told me that. They're not for your dog, or they're not, for a dog. What's happening? She goes, I've been having some trouble. And I'm like, here we go. She goes, I went to the doctor the other day and I got worms coming out of my butthole. I said, okay, well, I don't know that
Adrontal's not a human.
I don't know that I can send this with you giving me that information that I'm assuming you're here for the Adrontal for you. She goes, yeah. She goes, because those worms are going from my butthole to my vagina. Immediately.
Stop.
I'm sorry, what? Stop. And mind you, I keep saying this, I couldn't move. So as all of this shit is taking place, the staff are listening behind me and looking through the window through the door because they heard everything that was happening in the lobby. She goes, it's getting so bad. You want to see? Drops trowel and just lays it all open.
Would have moved, Amber. I would have just skirted.
A back brace, and like nobody came up to save me.
They were like,
no. Just laid it right there in the lobby.
Did you give her the Adrontal? I would have been like, here you go, ma'am. It's on the house. Have a good day. Bye.
I was like,
also, so why didn't her doctor give her meds?
I don't know. I don't know if it was one of those mental things, when people think that they have parasites, they're like, there's actual like a medical terminology for it, but I don't know. That was the most, I'll say, one of the most traumatic things that I've ever seen. But I got another one for you when you're ready for it. Just let me know.
Listen, is it gonna top that one?
Probably not, but it was a little odd. It was a little odd. So we go into this exam room with a technician I worked with for a long time. We were actually really good friends, and we went into the exam room. It was a puppy visit. Puppy was probably like somewhere between 9 and 12 weeks old, and she was a young girl. And she goes, "Is it supposed to still hurt when they're nursing?" I said,
No,
"Honey,
no.
they shouldn't be nursing anymore." And is mom, trying to discipline and push the puppy away? Like, she's like, "Oh no, he's not nursing on mom, he's nursing on me," and just rips it out. There's little cut marks on the unmentionable area. She's
I've
letting,
had that happen.
yeah, suckle on her. I said, "Ma'am, are you pregnant? Are you lactating?" She's like, "No." I said, "Then," my friend looked at her. She goes, "You don't do that. That is illegal in so many states."
But not Florida at that time. Florida, that was allowed.
God, I was like,
I've had that happen.
"Wow."
Like, so a C-section had come in and it was like post-op C-section, right? And
Yeah.
so we're like, oh, let's just look at the puppies to make sure they're okay. They were there. And she wasn't a spring chicken.
Oh my God.
And she just, and I had poker face. Why were they there, ma'am? Why? Oh, to keep them warm and if they wanted to suckle on something. Absolute, ma'am, we don't do that. They needed to stay with mom next time. They're old enough that they can be away a little bit and not be on the titties.
Have you had a
I
client
didn't.
tell you that they give their dogs their period blood because it's rich in nutrients?
Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I hate people so much. I had a couple that was vegan feed their kitten vegan, ended up killing it because they didn't give it any kind of taurine in its diet. And it was so malnutrition that it ended up dying on us because it was too far gone.
Yeah.
Had that happen. They were like, well, we're vegan. And I was like, just because you're vegan doesn't mean your cat's vegan. There's certain nutrients they need to survive.
Yeah.
And then their kitten went diagonal and we tried to bring it back, but it was too far gone.
And like too, if you're gonna do stuff like that, like do your research. You know what I mean? Like do your research. Consult a dietitian or a nutritionist or something like that. If that's the direction that you want to go. And should you? Probably not. But make sure that you're supplementing that animal appropriately. And like I know we're
Yeah.
not trying to be like jerks with these stories and things that we tell because we know a matter of it is common sense, and most of it is education, knowledge, and things like that. But
Mhm.
like those animals are they're apex predators, dude. They're not vegans.
Mm-mm.
They're not vegetarians
They're omnivores.
unless they come back with an
They're
allergy.
literally,
They're allergic to every freaking protein source. Okay, well then let's come up with something different. But like,
which we've had that happen in internal medicine where they were allergic to every source of protein. So we had to reach very far for a protein source and it ended up being kangaroo.
yep, see
That
kangaroo.
dog lived I was going to say that dog lived a very healthy life. It was a very expensive diet, but it
Yeah,
worked.
but it
But
worked.
again, we all had to do research on that dog. But
Yep,
to see what protein source it wasn't exposed to. But
man.
period blood, no. I was afraid that when you were telling the worm story that because I've heard it happen, but I've never seen it happen where they bring in a urine sample and a fecal sample and it's the humans and not their dog because it's cheaper and they didn't have a doctor.
It wasn't a sample. It was a full on visual exam.
Did you see the worms?
I did not. I didn't see much of anything. I wanted to pass all the way out. Yeah. Needless to say it was not a snacky kind of day. I could not eat for the rest of it was not a good
Oh,
it was listen, again, I don't mind talking to clients about things, and I love to be there for them and to be that listening ear. I've talked to clients going through divorces. I'm sure you have, and problems with their kids and stuff like that. And like we become very close,
yeah.
especially working in a veterinary practice. It's that watched you grow up. You started with their puppies and their dogs are 15, 16, 18 years old, and you're euthanizing them. You do develop those rapports, or if you start pet sitting for them or whatnot. But there
Yep.
are there are limits, hard limits that
That you didn't. I was gonna say that you didn't think that you would ever have to put down.
that I yes, that and things that I care. We all, I'm sure I can speak for a lot of us who's probably listening to this like I got one for you. That we
Mm-hmm.
care not to, things that we care not to discuss. There are things that we would care not to see. Just be mindful, in your interactions and the things that you are just share with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on that lovely note of period blood and dying kittens, we'll end it on this one, and we'll see you guys next
Yeah.
week with a different topic.
Yes. Just
Catch you guys
remember,
later.
be kind to your vet staff. Not just be
Yes.
kind in your attitudes, but please do not send us home with any more additional trauma than we already have. I don't want to think about
We
the
don't
things
want to
that you're
see
going to get home tonight for your nutritional needs of your pets or your puppies that still need to suckle or no. But hope you guys have a great week.
We'll see you guys next week on that note.